You talked about this a little bit. What was traditionally seen as barriers and issues that are now really not because of the advent of AI, the high quality sensors, the ability to just like all of a sudden going from a telephone to an iPhone in your hand. Now we have AI powered devices, plug and play, very well designed and engineered, innovative, highly secured LoRaWAN gateways and communication protocols. That's all there now. So that is a great answer to the why now. So let's talk a little bit about some of the stumbling blocks. Now, we have all this technology, the capabilities. Still, oftentimes we will see customers that want to implement IoT. I myself, in previous, companies, have seen the digital transformation attempted, and it seems like it gets done piecemeal and never quite has, in my experience, on the customer side, it doesn't quite pan out how you want. So, what are some of those stumbling blocks and barriers that you typically will see companies struggle to implement IoT?
That's a great question, and it would surprise people to learn that based on sources and different reports that we have looked into, a significant amount, and I'm talking 60, 70% of the IoT projects in the past few years are failures. And the reason for that, and actually true story, when we started working with AES, the first thing the digital director tells me, are you aware that you're like the third company that we bring to do this? And I said, well, this is going to be the last one. And it was. And the reasons are, for the most part, first of all, there's continued to be too many silos within the company, and there is a tremendous amount of lack of communication. Like we were at one of these cement companies, and we implemented for the reliability manager dual pressure sensors on the baghouses for monitoring the filters and making sure that they were controlled. But more importantly, in this case, it was because we were automating his EPA reporting tool. So he used our stuff to do that automatically from his desk instead of having to go measure at 100 degrees, and all white. And I looked like a Mad Max when I was there, all dusted. So I had to go there for whatever the reason. And I'm escorted by these two guys throughout that huge plant, up and down silos, staircases, etc. And they look at me looking at my phone and say, well, what are you doing? I said, well, I mean, I'm looking at these dual pressure sensors here. Said, why do we need to come here 4 times a day? I said, well, because your boss doesn't talk to the other boss. And in fact, it was the case. So the moment we had that meeting, a week later, that activity became now more a wider activity across other stakeholders that were not even aware of this project. So that my first advice is get a group of people and create a group of users. The second thing is a lot of those pilots do not scale. You will test this technology, somebody came through your door, you kind of liked it, you're going to give it a go. But more often than not, they will not scale. They will not be able to incorporate other types of sensors. They will not be able to incorporate other locations. They will not have necessarily the security requirements to go through your security teams, and so on and so on and so on. So make sure that whichever partner you choose have the ability to support you, not only at the beginning, but throughout and as you grow with it. The other thing is, what also happens is that, let's say you want to do a pilot for predictive maintenance or dual pressures or reliability, but it becomes an IT project. It stops being a dual pressure project. And then we spend weeks and weeks, getting to the IT folks. Like, we have a strategy that has worked very well for that. We still work with IT, especially around security and things like that. But we provide mobile gateways that completely bypass the company's network, initially at least, so that we can focus on the pilot at hand and make it quick, weeks, like you were saying, Marilena was saying, as opposed to months. And as we do that, and we do this because we are not doing a pilot. We know our stuff works. We know everything works. So pilots usually, more than not, become production. But then 5 minutes later is, okay, what else can we do? And that's when you have to start working at a corporate level. Sometimes they can see, because we get some executives look at what we do, and then they understand that they can start benchmarking multiple locations, that they can start changing the way they do business. Because if I have predictive maintenance 24/7 now across 100 motors, and I can do that across 10 locations, well, I definitely can find efficiencies on the resources that I used to use for this type of activity, and now I can do that from the air conditioning for all the locations. That's a game changer. So that game changing process needs to come along with change management, documentation, training, and a lot of discussions in what I call digital transformation. Because what we do, IoT, the way we do IoT, it's framed within the corporate initiatives of digital transformation. It's a big topic, and if we have time, we'll talk more about the 4 floors. Like I've been saying before, where the first floor would be the hardware, the sensors, and all that stuff. The second floor is like the infrastructure, the wireless infrastructure, and the security and management of all those devices. Like when you have phones in your office, you need permission to connect to the Wi-Fi network. Well, with IoT, it needs to be the same. And then the third floor would be more like the operating system, where we control in real time all this data coming in from multiple protocols. It doesn't have to be wireless only. We also do BACnet, we do MQTT, Modbus, we have analog, digital. So we can connect to pretty much anything that you want to make visible into your dashboards or into your screens. We connect to everything that you want to control. We can do fusion of data that was previously not combined into something that you can make sense of in a system, for instance, right? So integration comes later. The integration comes after you have been able to being exposed to the technology, you have been exposed to the value of the process and the technology. You can gain an appreciation for how quickly this was done, how effective it is. And then we start integrating with other applications on the third floor, such as IT applications, OT applications, and enterprise applications. So we speak to all the corporate floors all at the same time. You can connect to a Snowflake, a Power BI, or whatever corporate purchased in real estate for data analytics. But then we can also talk to a SCADA system, or we can talk to an Oracle or a SAP, and so forth. So IoT, it's the Internet of real time. IoT is the Internet of let's get the whole thing connected and a unified, orchestrated manner of data flows across the corporation. And that's where you start
Well,
really seeing the values.